Hey, what's up? My name's Saul. I'm a full-time project manager and a sometimes business analyst. And today I wanted to make a quick video to show you a pretty creative design pattern that we came up with to solve a tricky problem regarding file uploads. So right off the bat, I'll say I'm not super technical. So if you watch this and you realize like you could do it better, you could do it differently, great, you probably can. Put it in the comments, let me know so we can all learn together. This is just one way that we came up to solve it. And when I was first researching this problem, I went looking for answers online and I just couldn't find anything. And so I thought maybe I'll post this video and somebody else will have the same issue and see it and it might help somebody. So that's what it is. So what was the problem? The context of this client is they are a grant making org using Nonprofit Success Pack, NPSP. And I will mention as well, if you've upgraded to Nonprofit Cloud or Agentforce for Nonprofits and their grant making module, this pretty much solves the problem immediately. But I know thousands of orgs are still on NPSP, so it's still relevant. They're a grant making org, and this is a grant application embedded in their Experience Cloud site. Their application had lots of tabs. They had tab navigation across the top, and each screen had a bunch of questions. The entire application had over 100 questions. The issue was they wanted some files to be required, others optional, but still maintain the ability to navigate freely around the application. And with the file upload component or the unofficial SF file upload improved component, if you set the required checkbox to true, you can't navigate away from that screen until you upload a file. And that was the big issue. Additionally, which helped us, is that they had a requirement that they wanted the file names to be automatically named, the file name to be overridden following a naming convention. And so that in this case actually helped us. And I'll show you why in a second. But anyway, let's take a look at like a quick demo and then I'll show you the flow of what's happening behind the scenes. So I'm going to start this flow over. So this is just a demo screen, like we're on the second to last screen, the project budget. We're ready to go to the final screen to upload attachments. And this is the screen that the user lands on. There's a section for instructions, a section for each file, and then we listed here in red font required, and there's a checkbox icon for ones that have been submitted, and the submitted files land in a data table at the bottom. So when the user is ready to upload their attachments, they'll click this Upload Attachments button and be directed to this screen. Similar format, we have sections for each file. We're using red font to indicate what's required, and we'll just go ahead and upload this budget. And when they're done, they can click Next to return back to the first screen. And that file now has the green checkbox, meaning it's good to go. Also, if they want to delete one, they can choose it from the data table below and click Delete File, and it will remove it from the list as well and remove the green checkbox. So that's it. The main design pattern, that we're illustrating is this green checkbox to indicate that the file has been uploaded and allowing them to move back and forth. And so let's take a look at the flow and see how we did that. So this first screen is just that demo screen with the first tab. But in between your second to last and your last screen of the application where you're going to ask for the file uploads, you're going to do a content documents get records and get all of the content documents that are attached to the funding request. Once you have all of those content documents, you're going to loop through them and check the file name for our naming convention. Does the file name contain budget? Does it contain statement of purpose, etc.? And if it does, for each of those items, we're setting a Boolean variable to true. So var has budget equals true. At the end of that loop, you're going to assign the content document IDs to a list. And at the end of all of the iterations, we're doing a get records on content document, which is a new beta feature in Flow. And we're adding those, we're storing those in the get records. Then we can get to our final attachment screen we saw in the demo, and the user will click one of three buttons, either upload attachments, delete a file, or next or finish. So this assignment is just setting where the user goes next based on the button they chose. There's a function for the navigation, and then a decision variable for what did they click. Go to upload screen, delete file, or the default outcome. The default outcome would be your final submission screen, where we would check if all of the Boolean variables are true, let them submit. If not, send them back to attachments. I don't have that built out, but it's just a decision variable that says, do all of these var has file booleans equal true? If yes, submit. If no, back to attachments. If they choose to delete a file, we're using a get records to select which row of the data table that they selected. We're going to reset all of the Boolean variables to false. We're going to set the selected data table row to null, and then delete the content document that they selected. And then we're redirecting them back to the top of this section of the flow, all the way back to the get all content documents, and we're doing the loop again. If they choose to select the upload attachments button, they're going to go to this path. We're going to reset all of the Boolean variables to false again. And then we're calling a subflow to actually add the attachments. And that subflow looks like this. It's very simple. It's one screen. It has the same kind of layout with a section for each file. We're just using red font to mark things as required. And the user will upload their files and click finish. We're using the unofficial SF file upload improve, so we can have the option to relabel files. We're not marking this required, but we are using the override file name option. And I've just hard-coded budget, but you could use a text variable to make this more accurate and more robust. One thing to remember is to make sure you're always setting a unique value for this flow interview variable. You can just copy this and add a 1, a 2, or a 3 at the end of it, and that will work just fine. So the user uploads their files, they click finish, and they return back to the grant application. So the way that we're showing which files they've uploaded is conditional visibility on each section. So each section that has a file has a display text with the name of the file and just red font required, and then 2 display images with conditional visibility. These display images are static resources in setup. And if you don't know what that looks like, it's in your Salesforce setup, search for static resources, and you can just click on new. And I just found these icons on the internet. You can find any icon you want and save it there. And you just have to copy the name exactly when you're in the flow screen for each icon. So these are center aligned, and then they are conditionally visible based on the Boolean variable associated with that file. So var has budget equals true, show the green checkbox. If var has budget equals false, show the empty circle. And that is controlling the UI for the user to see what they have or haven't uploaded. Also, for the flow button bar, upload attachments, and the delete button, we're using the unofficial SF flow button bar just for increased customization. And that's really it. Hopefully that was helpful, and have a good day.